Another explosion. Another headline. The Middle East is, once again, a vortex of conflict. And with each new eruption, we're left asking the same, haunting question. Why is this region seemingly caught in an endless cycle of war? What underlying engines keep this landscape so uniquely volatile? This isn't about justifying any single conflict, but about diagnosing a pattern. To understand why the fires ignite here, again and again, we must trace the roots. And the journey begins with a single, fractured promise that reshaped the entire region. For much of the 20th and 21st centuries, the term Middle East exceptionalism has been used as a catch-all diagnosis. The argument goes that a deadly cocktail of ethnic division, strategic geography, and immense oil wealth brews a perfect storm for violence found nowhere else. But is the data on their side? Not entirely. Studies tracking armed conflict since 1946 showed that during the Cold War, the Middle East was indeed a major hotbed. But in the decades since, other regions have seen even more frequent clashes. So, it's not the most violent place on Earth. But the scale and geopolitical impact of its wars are undeniable. So, if it's not uniquely doomed, what specific fault lines keep cracking open here? The first answer lies at the heart of the land itself. Since 1948, the establishment of the State of Israel has served as a profound and persistent catalyst. Its very founding was rejected by neighboring Arab nations, leading to a series of major conventional wars. The core dispute has evolved, but the impasse remains. Israeli security versus Palestinian sovereignty. This central tension has radiated outwards, fueling not just state-level wars, but also proxy conflicts and low-intensity warfare, with groups like Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. Even attempts at peace have repeatedly collapsed under the weight of mutual, seemingly irreconcilable demands. A land divided by two peoples, each fighting for a home they cannot share. The instability has even spilled over, contributing to civil wars like the one in Lebanon. It's the region's most persistent wound. And wrapped around it is a second, global rivalry that fuels the flames from afar. The ideological chasm between Iran and the United States acts as a powerful amplifier for regional strife. Once allies, the 1979 Islamic Revolution turned America into the great Satan in Tehran's eyes. The hostility was immediate and mutual. The US supported Saddam Hussein's Iraq in its war against Iran. Today, Iran backs groups targeting US assets across Iraq, Syria, and the Red Sea. America has responded with targeted strikes, like the killing of Qasem Soleimani. While they've avoided direct war, this shadow conflict pours gasoline on every local fire, turning civil strife into a global standoff. And underpinning much of this great power interest is one infamous resource: oil. It's tempting to blame every Middle Eastern war on oil. That's an oversimplification. The Arab-Israeli wars or Lebanon civil war weren't primarily about crude. But to say oil is irrelevant is equally false. Control of oil fields was a key objective in the Iran-Iraq War. Saddam Hussein's 1990 invasion of Kuwait was a blatant attempt to seize its reserves and erase debt. And while the 2003 US invasion of Iraq wasn't solely about oil, to claim it wasn't a factor is naive, as one US commander later admitted about Iraq. Of course, it's about oil. It was rarely the only reason, but almost always a significant part of the strategic calculation. Yet, external powers aren't the only source of division. The deepest cracks often run along ancient, internal lines. Perhaps the most potent fuel for conflict comes from within, the sectarian and ethnic divisions that crisscross the region. The Sunni-Shia split, in particular, has been dangerously politicized. The geopolitical rivalry between Shia-majority Iran and Sunni-led Saudi Arabia transformed local grievances into proxy battlegrounds. Look at Yemen's civil war, where Houthi rebels are backed by Iran, and the government was supported by Saudi Arabia. Or Syria, where a rebellion against the Alawite-led Assad regime became a sectarian proxy war. With Iran and Russia backing Assad, ancient faiths twisted into flags for modern power struggles. Similarly, the Kurdish people's quest for a homeland has created enduring conflicts with Turkey, Iraq, Iran, and Syria. But even without these divides, another, more fundamental pressure was building, one that came from the people themselves. Decades of poor governance, corruption, repression, economic despair created a tinderbox. The Arab Spring of the early 2010s was an explosion of hope for change. But in Libya, Syria, and Yemen, that hope collapsed into catastrophic civil war. The revolutions created power vacuums. Old regimes fought viciously to survive, and foreign powers jumped in. The instability they unleashed is still unfolding today. The road to hell, it seems, was paved with good intentions and terrible governance. So, why are there so many wars in the Middle East? There's no single cause. It is always a toxic brew, a foundational territorial dispute, magnified by great power competition, fueled by resource wealth, fractured by deep sectarian identities, and ignited by the failures of local leadership. Each conflict has its own recipe, but these are the common, volatile ingredients. And as resources like water grow scarcer, new triggers may yet emerge. Understanding this complex web doesn't offer easy solutions, but it moves us beyond simple headlines. If you want to see more deep dives into the forces shaping our world, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Real Military History. The next story is already on the way.